Hello everyone and welcome to my review for the Conviction arc. This video is out a little later than I'd planned. Sorry about that. I did want to do these like at least every week, and I think it's been a little more than a week now. In my defense, I had originally planned on doing separate videos for each part of the Conviction arc. What had happened was I had finished The Lost Children, and I think I had just come out with one of the Golden Age reviews, so I wanted to wait a minute, but then I couldn't, stay patient enough to not continue reading, so then I read Binding Chain, and then I was like, shit, I guess I'll do a review with both Lost Children and Binding Chain, and then I went a week without reading any Berserk, because I got distracted by other stuff, and then I read the birthing ceremony? So I read that, and then yesterday I was just like, shit, fuck it, I'll just do a review for the whole thing, whatever, and I'll timestamp each part. I'm gonna talk about each individual part of the Conviction arc separately. So here we are now. Let's start off with The Lost Children. I've heard that a lot of people hate this arc, or, don't like it as much as the other arcs, kind of a situation similar to the Black Swordsman. At the very least, I've heard that it's underrated, and I don't really understand why. Like, I read the whole arc, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It wasn't anything super crazy like the Golden Age, but it was, like, pretty good. Had some pretty good stuff, didn't really have any big issues with it. So far, I haven't really had any big issues with Berserk in general. Not really any particular issues in general I can think of, actually. So for a quick synopsis, Guts goes to this village in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, up in the mountains, I think, and they're under attack by quote-unquote elves. Just swarms of elves always attacking the village, eating all of the livestock and people, and stealing the children. Now when Guts arrives, he finds out that, oh wait, these are not elves, these are, I think they would say they're pseudo-apostles? I don't remember if they're called that in The Lost Children, but we get into those later in the Conviction arc. Basically people that get turned into monsters by apostles. Oh shit, these aren't actually fairies, these are fucking pseudo-apostles, so there's an apostle here. Also, it turns out that these pseudo-apostles are actually the children that have been stolen, and when you kill them, they turn back into the children. So every time Guts kills a swarm of these fucking things, there's a bunch of dead babies. Yeah, so the big bad of this arc is Rosine, who is a child who fled from the village and became an apostle, for childish reasons, I would say. Well, her home life was really fucking terrible, but she was like, oh, I don't belong here, I'm like the elf in that fairy tale story, so I'll go off into the fairyland in the forest and join my elf people, because it's a child. She's a child that became an apostle. So Guts fights her, kills her, the general Berserk thing, and then you end off with some really poetic stuff at the end of the arc. That seems to be the general way that Berserk arcs go. So, once again, I really did not have a problem with this arc. We got to see how Guts operates in the post-Golden Age part of the story, but now having all of the information of the Golden Age in our minds. The big difference between the Black Swordsman and Lost Children is that the Black Swordsman came out before the Golden Age, so we had none of the context for Guts' origins, for why he's such an asshole. But then, now that you've got The Lost Children, you just went through the last, 10 volumes that were the Golden Age. So now you get it. Now you're like, oh yeah, I understand why you're really, really fucking pissed off. What were some of the highlights of this arc? I would say one of them was seeing how fucked up the Lost Children are. When they battle each other, that was fucked up. I don't remember who the source of the quote is, but the line, "There is nothing more innocent and cruel than a child," is, it applies pretty well here, and that these are kids that have no concept of what they are doing, and they are just committing horrific acts. Like, it's the worst things that humans are capable of. Murder, torture, rape, and they're doing it to each other without any concept of what they're doing means. It's exceptionally disturbing. That is a real standout, because you get to it, you go through the spread, you go through, like, the few pages after it, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. That's a rough one. Then you have the actual fight with Rosine, which was just, like, Guts doing the cool shit, fighting a supersonic big moth, or I guess a big butterfly. That was pretty cool. Guts did a lot of really crazy shit in this arc. I feel like that's going to be a continuing trend throughout the rest of the series. Well, I know it's a continuing trend. Yeah, that was a really good fight. Very entertaining. And then the last big standout from this part of the arc is the end, where Jill, the girl who is wanting to leave the village because her home life sucks, her dad's an asshole, her mom is spineless, and she sees Guts, who is this super huge badass that just goes around slaying every horrific nightmare beast that gets in his way. She's like, holy shit, I want to go with you, I want to get away from this place and be free with you. Maybe not free, but, I want to go out and face the darkness with you. And Guts looks at her, and he's like, no the fuck you do not. Look at the shadows around me. And of course, I have this page up here in the video right now. There is nothing heroic or romantic or exciting about the life that I live. It is a constant, unending, waking nightmare. My life fucking sucks. I want nothing to do with it, and you sure as shit don't want anything to do with it. So get the fuck out of here. That is pretty fucking awesome. That is how you do, like, a dark, I don't know if I want to say edgy, but maybe edgy character setting. And that, no, there's nothing good about this. Go the fuck away. You don't want anything to do with this shit. This is horrible. You are a dumb, naive child. You have no concept of the shit that I have to put up with. Get the fuck out of here. So yeah, that was The Lost Children. Pretty good. I don't get why people seem to not like it. And maybe you guys can explain it in the comments. I don't really understand. I don't think I've ever actually seen the arguments for why people don't like it. I've seen them for the Black Swordsman, but not for The Lost Children. So, share those in the comments if you feel like it. Now, for the second part of the arc, Binding Chain. This is pretty much just, like an intermission section between Lost Children and the birth ceremony. It's the shortest part of the arc, but it's pretty good. Guts gets captured by the Holy Iron Chain Knights who have been pursuing him, for reasons. So they fight Guts, they capture him because Guts is fucking exhausted from fighting nonstop and not sleeping more than 2 hours in like a week. So they capture him, he gets imprisoned, we learn a bit about Farnese, bit of a crazy bitch to be honest. Then the usual shit happens because of the brand of sacrifice. Ghosts show up and they possess a bunch of shit. So Guts escapes, he takes Farnese hostage so he can escape. The rape horse happens, yeah, you guys all know. And then Guts eventually gets away after some weird shit happens with Farnese. So this is pretty good. It was mostly just, oh man, Farnese is kind of whack, and Guts kills a bunch of shit. This was mostly an action-centric intermission section, but pretty good. It's interesting to see, you have Farnese, who is someone who is very zealous when it comes to her faith. They are basically like an order of paladins, I guess. It's an interesting dynamic where the people who are super full of faith and devoted to God and believe in miracles don't believe any of this shit when they see it. She can't see Puck because she doesn't believe in elves. I think that's how that works. And when the animals start getting possessed by the spirits, she's like, there's no way this is real. I can't believe this. It's fucking impossible. This shit can't exist. Whereas Guts, who, does not seem particularly religious, is just like, oh yeah, you can't believe it. That's why they call it a miracle. Me, I've had my fill of miracles. Enough to make me puke. I always like stuff like that, where you take really, like, flowery, fancy shit, like miracles, and it's turned into something very kind of, I don't know, crass, something very, rude, like, oh yeah, it'll make me fucking vomit, it'll make me puke my guts up. I always like stuff like that. Farnese is kind of interesting because she's an example of someone who's very repressed by religious institutions. Not in the sense that it's, oh, my political beliefs, my culture is being repressed by this religious institution, or my beliefs. It's, damn, I'm a really fucking kinky bitch, and I can't fuck... I don't get an opportunity to really kinkily fuck giant swords or whatever because of my religion. I'm probably wildly misinterpreting this. I know she has this obsession with fire. I think I understood what it meant, Farnese's fascination with fire since she was a child. Granted her some degree of safety, but she was also, like, getting off to it. Farnese is a bit of a weird one. I would appreciate, you know, if some of you guys who have been fans of Berserk longer than me could give, like, kind of an analysis of her character. I think I generally get it, I'm just really bad at explaining it. But yeah, that's the binding chain. It's basically just an intermission. How does Guts get from the Lost Children over to going to the Tower of Conviction? That's what the binding chain is for. Now then, the birth ceremony, or I guess some people also call it the Tower of Conviction. I thought it was called the Tower of Conviction. Apparently it's the birth ceremony arc. Before we get into the stuff with Guts, it seems like everyone in the world's been having this fucking collective fever dream of the apocalypse, and then this White Hawk appears and saves the world. I wonder who that could be. The arc starts off being about Guts going back to Godo to get his sword fixed, you know, get his equipment upgraded pretty much, and also to check back up on Casca. And we find out Casca's actually left, and it turns out that she's gone over to where the Tower of Conviction is with all the refugees. And this first part of the arc is really good because it has the emotional stuff that is really good in Berserk. You have Godo criticizing Guts for the fact that, yeah, you lost all of these supposedly irreplaceable people in the eclipse, and then you responded by leaving behind the last irreplaceable person in your life to go and pursue revenge. You've given up on having a future with the people you care about for the sake of exacting vengeance upon someone from your past. That's not a way to live. And Guts resolves himself that he's going to find Casca, he's going to protect her, and he's not going to lose her ever again. It's really good. It's all fantastic stuff for his character. We also get imagery of the Beast of Darkness, which, I wonder where will that go, I wonder. Yeah, so he ventures off to the Tower of Conviction. We get a bunch of examples of why organized religion is the fucking worst, with Mazgus and his torturers. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up stuff. Mazgus is a wacky guy. At times, I almost find him entertaining just from how over the top he is. Also, his square head. It's kind of funny. So, at the Tower of Conviction, they're torturing people for being heretics, supposedly, but also there are actual real heretics, who are doing, you know, crazy pagan shit, having big orgies in a cave. And then an apostle shows up, the egg of the perfect world. Shit kind of gets crazy from there, mostly because of Casca's presence with the brand of sacrifice. But eventually Guts shows up, and things just get kind of insane from there. All of the spirits of the dead start showing up per Skull Knight's vision of the future, I guess. There is going to be an attempt to replicate the eclipse. And of course, that is something that Guts definitely doesn't want to happen. So he shows up, he starts fighting everyone, Then they try and find Casca, but the spirits of the dead are all over the place. They're possessing people. The Egg of the Perfect World is creating pseudo-apostles, including the goat guy, Mazgus and his torturers. The imagery of the souls of the dead is like this fucking sea of souls. Was really cool, really creepy, really cool, really well drawn. Some of the imagery was absolutely insane. Especially the one double-page spread where they're like turning into the big hand to replicate the god hand. Really good stuff. Guts fights and defeats Mazgus in an epic anime battle. And at the very end, Griffith gets revived because of the Egg of the Perfect World eating the demon fetus. And then he dips off with Zod. Hey, cool guy Zod is here once again, by the way. And then the Kushan show up and they escape from the Kushan. And that's pretty much the end of the Conviction arc. So a big overarching thing in the Conviction arc seems to be religion, and it's especially present in the birth ceremony. The message is not religion sucks, because as they bring up at the end, there were still religious people there who did not go into the Tower of Conviction and like try to box themselves in to protect themselves out of fear and leave everyone outside to die, because those people all ended up dying. It's not that those who are religious are bad, it's people who rely solely on their faith and nothing else are bad. You should have a little bit of urgency, you should have a little bit of desire to live and do things for yourself. Mazgus was kind of lacking in that. Well, the people who died were lacking in that. And the people who lived, they had the conviction to keep going. The fight with Mazgus was really cool. Oh, the line was so good. So before getting to the Tower of Conviction, Guts meets Skull Knight. Skull Knight explains what's going to happen, and he says, yeah, but you know, it's already decided by causality, so you're not going to change anything. It's going to happen again. The stuff that happened in the eclipse is going to happen again. You won't be able to change it because you're just a reflection on the water. However, maybe you're more than just a reflection. Maybe you're a fish that pierces through the water. So when Mazgus is diving in to kill Casca, or I guess grab Casca, I don't remember if he was trying to immediately kill her or was just trying to grab her so that she could be burned at the stake. He dives in, and Guts fucking, like, plunging attacks the Dragon Slayer through Mazgus' chest, and Skull Knight's lines are played over the scene, maybe you're not just a reflection on the water. Really, really fucking cool. Then, you know, you tell God to leave me the fuck alone. That's a really good line. Now, my favorite part of this arc, in addition to the stuff at the beginning of the birth ceremony, with Godo and Griffith, is where, or not Godo and Griffith, Godo and Guts, is when Griffith returns. You have the double-page spread where Guts freaks the fuck out. He is fucking infuriated once again. And then the darkness fades away as he remembers Casca is there behind him. And he decides to prioritize protecting Casca over going after Griffith. I have already seen this spread before, but when I got to it, I was still so excited by how good it is. This fully embodies the message of Berserk, is that you should not dwell on hatred and revenge and the horrible things in your past. You should focus on the people you still have now in the present so that you can have a future with them. That is what Berserk is about, and that's fully encapsulated in that spread. It's fantastic. I fucking love that spread. I have it up here in the video. In terms of the story, so far, that's the best spread in the series. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Conviction arc. It was pretty good. I'm gonna do the same thing, I guess, again, for the Hawk of the Millennium Empire arc. That'll probably be out in a week, unless I get distracted doing other stuff, in which case it'll probably be out in like 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens with that. It'll be like this again, or if it's not individual arcs, because I think there's only 2 parts of that arc, I will probably do timestamps for when I talk about major events. So it'll be kind of like this again, but not exactly the same. So yeah, I hope you're looking forward to that. You should subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss it. Of course, if this is somehow the first time you're watching one of my videos, you should go check out my main channel. I created this one because my main channel has 2 copyright strikes. So you should subscribe to this one if you're already a fan of that channel. And you don't want to lose me in case my main channel gets taken down. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.